xSeer, we've talked a little bit about earlier today. Not only are they one of the companies that took advantage of the Venture Bridge program at our CMU Silicon Valley campus, they also have come out of our Create Robotics Lab back in Pittsburgh. They have a data visualization technology which is just awesome, and they're going to talk today about how that can be applied to smart cities. Please welcome Amir and Saman, the co-founders of xSeer.
Hello everyone. We are very excited to tell you about xSeer. It's a platform that came out of Create Lab, Carnegie Mellon Robotics Institute. The co-founders are me and Saman. I'm a postdoc there. Saman is finishing his PhD, and Lale is helping us with the machine learning part of it. She's also a CMU grad. Now, our lab has done a lot of work on sensors and robotics, as you saw, for example, with Airways. A lot of projects that we do in the lab generate a lot of data, and we have to process and analyze it. And for example, one of the projects that we did was with a collaboration with Google, where we wanted to create a time lapse of very large videos. For example, in the case of Google, they take 1 terapixel images of the Earth, and they want to visualize it in a video that is zoomable, and you can play it over time, for example, for the past 30 years. And it's available online, and you can go and basically see it as part of Google Earth Engine now. It's the largest video that has been created. Now, we wanted to take the same concepts and apply it to vector data. For example, you have an Excel file that's billions of rows or and has hundreds of columns. We wanted you to be able to interact with this data using the same principles without having to write queries or write code, without having to be a data scientist to understand this sort of data. Now, we have done a number of collaborations over the past couple of years. We worked with Infosys, and actually last year at Oracle Open World, the CEO of Infosys, the only demo that they gave was of our platform. We've worked with Emirates Airline, we've worked with Cognizant, and we have done also a lot of nonprofit work with United States Census, New America Foundation, World Bank, World Resources Institute. And you'll see some of the examples of these data sets that we've imported and worked these collaborations. So someone will give you a demo of how the platform works.
Okay, so this is the actual website. It is called EVA for Explorable Visual Analytics. You can actually go to xSeer.io on your own laptop and just see all of the demos that I'm giving right now and play with the tool. So when we're talking about smart cities, one very important aspect that all of us has talked about is about the data itself. So we need to have good data to rely on. But then when you have a lot of data, how you work with that, how you explore that, how you find meaning inside that. So our idea is to make that data, no matter what's the size, very intuitive, very easy to work with, and then give you the ability to find meaning inside that. So the examples that I want to show you today, for example, is through the collaborations that we had with US Census. So Census collects a lot of good data sets. One of them, they call it the LHD data set, is a yearly data for every neighborhood inside the US. They collect like 50 different variables for like workforce, job categories, etc. And then when they want to visualize that, they have to massively summarize it because it's like a 100 gigabyte data set. So none of the tools that are available right now in the market can visualize and explore that data. So this is the visualization of that entire 100 gigabyte data set. So let me show you what you can do when you have this kind of ability. So the view that you're seeing here is the income distribution. The green areas are the areas that have the blue areas have a lot of income, and the red ones have a lower income. And this is now 2002. Let me go forward gradually over time. So you can see that, first of all, you see a lot of growth in general. That is just inflation. But most importantly, you see that most of that growth is happening inside the cities, not inside the suburbs. So now you can see gradually some patterns. And then look at the top here in North Dakota. You see that there is a low-income neighborhood. Suddenly in 2013-14, you see a huge bump in income. That's for fracking and gas and mining there. So this is just looking at data over time. But more importantly, let's zoom in over the data. So let me zoom here on San Francisco. And let me go and bring a specific view. So as I zoom in, a high resolution version of that data is seamlessly replaced with what you have. So for example, here you can see every single neighborhood. And then again, you can go forward in time. It was wealthy back then. It is wealthy now, not that much change. But let's go over San Francisco. So I have a bookmark here to just jump over that. You see, back in 2002, most of the wealthy neighborhoods were here in the middle of the city and some in the North Shore. But then I go forward and most of the city is becoming more expensive and more higher income people. So you can see now gentrification actually happening over the data. And when you have this detail over the data, you can see that in action. Now let's look at a couple of more cities. So for example, I want to look at Seattle as one of the other cities that is a big tech hub, and then you hear a lot about like its growth over the past decade. Again, I go forward, you can easily see a huge growth in income. But then let's go to another city. In this case, I want to go to Detroit. Now, Detroit has had a troubled past this kind of couple of years. So you see that it had low income. I go forward, that low income is relatively stationary. So even you have inflation, you don't see that much change here. So then you can find these kind of interesting patterns inside that and come up with this story. Now, what I want to do next is to actually create a kind of more complex view. So this is good. I'm looking at income distribution. But what if I want to look at 3 different variables together? So let's add one of them on top of it. So now I have the income distribution. I have also now added the total number of jobs as the Z. So basically I can rotate this. I can look at it from any view that I like. You can see, for example, here in New York, there are a lot of jobs. So the elevation shows the total number of jobs. And then the color is income. So you have a lot of jobs that are paying very well. But let's just compare that with another part, like here, South Texas. Here you also see a lot of jobs, but the color is red. So you can see that there are a lot of jobs that are very low paying here. Now this is a geospatial data, right? So it makes sense for us to look at it over a map. But you can easily also remove this map layer and look at it from a non-geospatial data. Basically, you can go through any dimension of the data that you like, any projection that you like. Here I'm looking at age distributions all over the US. So on this red axis, I have like younger generation. On the green axis on the top, I have like middle ages. And then here is the seniors on the blue axis. And as I go forward in time, you can see that there is a huge increase going toward the senior sector. So these are like baby boomers. They're basically just bringing their jobs as they're getting older with themselves, and then you're seeing that it is moving from the younger generation. So this was the example for the census data set. Now the main idea here is that we give you the ability to zoom in on your data, and that ability on a geospatial data like census makes sense, but then you can also expand that to other data sets. So for example, this is a collaboration that we did with Infosys. They had a retailer data set all over Australia. Now you can see each one of those retailers here in this view. You're seeing the general categories of items that they are selling, like clothing, like food, those kind of things. Now if I start zooming in, we will go and replace that with the subcategories. So now you're seeing like different subcategories inside that, and then the color is like the amount of profit that they are making. But even if I start zooming in more, now you see individual item level. So you can basically see every single item that they have sold. And again, you can play it over time. You can see how the patterns have changed. And then you can combine it with the sales amount. So you can see profit, the sales, all of them together. So this is like a general idea, a very short intro into the tool. All of this is web-based. So whatever you find interesting, you can bookmark, and you simply can share that via links just sent to a friend, and they can go through the same stories that you have. So I leave it back to Amir to give you more information about the tool.
So now that we have all these sensors, for example, for traffic, for air quality, we think we need a platform that will be able to consume all those data points and be able to visualize it in a way that anyone can use, but also if they are data scientists, then they can do a deep dive and actually do a complex analysis on top of it. One of the projects that we are doing is actually on fragile cities with a partner in Brazil. That one we cannot show you right now because it's going to be in TED in a month. But a lot of factors affect how fragile a city is, and we are trying to show and analyze those factors. Now, with these sensors, for example, with air quality, with airways, we are actually working with them to visualize their data. And this is another project that we did with World Resources Institute. They do a lot of remote sensing, and they collect information about deforestation happening, in this case in Sumatra, and want to be able to visualize it for the past 10 years bi-weekly, so hundreds of millions of data points, and be able to actually send someone there to do something about it. We have other use cases. We have worked with a lot of partners. We're exploring what are the most interesting type of data sets that we should work with. This is an example, another partnership that we did with Emirates Airline. This is all their passenger information. They want to actually enhance their Skyward membership program. This visualization is showing every single passenger over the past 3 months. And in this case, we are visualizing how much they paid. They want to encourage people to come and join their membership programs. They want to offer them incentives to do this. And they want to analyze, for example, what are the things that make someone buy a more expensive ticket or fly with their family. And all this data is here, and they can analyze it. So given these use cases and other ones that we are exploring right now, we wanted to see what are the best sort of applications that we can find for this platform. One interesting use case that we are working on is with a big soft drinks company. They know they have their own sales data. They want to overlay it on top of data that we provide, and together they want to, for example, know that we are selling this drink very well in this area, and we have demographics data for that area. They want to combine it and basically select an area, say, okay, I know this drink is selling well in this area. Show me any other area that has similar demographics and we think would be suitable for selling, for example, this drink. So this is a marketing application of the same platform. Now, we've been part of, we started at Create Lab, we came to Venture Bridge, and then joined the Emirates iLab here at the Silicon Valley campus. And now we've won a fellowship with Lightspeed Ventures for the summer, and we are going to do our fundraising during the summer by the end of summer. So if you are interested, please come and talk to us. Thank you.